Aries operators, here's the final thoughts segment. We're going to go over what we modified and what we did to get to our end results. What we changed out of the hop-up unit was we changed out the inner barrel to a matrix 603 millimeter tight bore. It's stainless steel, and we also changed out the bucking to a Reeps 60-degree bucking. With those changes, especially with the bucking, it allowed me to adjust the hop-up a lot more on the gun. With the stock hop-up unit and bucking, it pretty much limited the range to 75 to 100 feet for the gun, and you could see the shots weren't really going that far. With that change, I was able to shoot out a good 200 feet, 225, but of course, with the change in compression, it kind of curves a little bit to the right when it's going 200 feet. 150, 175 shots, you could do pretty well. Of course, the FPS was measured about roughly, we estimate about 350, 355 with the compression mods. That's with the, with the accuracy for the bucking and the inner barrel. We didn't end up using the SHS cylinder head because we found out it's probably using one of ARES proprietary heads. It's probably going to be like a M249 or a SCAR or a L80 head, but to be honest, I don't have the measurements. You can find it on eHobby Asia. So what I did with that was I'd rather just use a RTV to seal up the head cylinder, and also I used for the air nozzle. We know that ARES doesn't like putting O-rings on the guns. We put in an O-ring on the end and also use a little RTV to connect it a little bit. So of course, doing all that, we obviously changed where the gun's going to feed at. And of course, you've seen in my earlier videos, I had to move the O-ring. I had to put an O-ring between the gearbox and hop-up unit just to move the hop-up unit just a little bit forward, because we moved the air nozzle a little bit forward too. So that caused a little bit of a feeding issue with the regular mag. And of course, I can't feed, like I said, with 20 and 23 gram BBs. I think maybe that's because they're just a little bit too light, but I don't know. Obviously, I know it's the feeding between the hop-up unit and the mag. So some of the changes I also done with the mag is there's 4 screws on this magazine. You could kind of play with it a little bit, change the positioning very slightly to help out feeding a little bit. But of course, the O-ring that I put between the gearbox and the hop-up unit was probably the biggest help, really, because I'm moving the hop-up unit forward. So of course, I've used several O-rings. Like I said, you could get O-rings from AutoZone. Well, for Americans, that is, we have AutoZone, and basically they have packs of O-rings that you could buy for like $5 and all that. RTV, those things are cheap too. So overall, putting the gun together, like I said, I was able to shoot 25 gram and 28 gram BBs with it. And I was pretty pleased. Like I said, the gun shot a lot further, and FPS is running around roughly 355. I almost forgot to say, we didn't use the M100 spring because for some reason I'm shooting pretty low with it, and I reused the stock ARES spring, and it brought it back up to a little bit over 355-ish in FPS. So that is, oh, I forgot to mention, for you potential VZ.58 owners, actually Evike right now has a special. I'm not affiliated with them, but I always browse website. On their Epic Deals section, you'll find VZ.58s for ARES VZ.58s for $150 for the short length or compact or CQB length one for $150. And the full size is $158. So if you look around all over the place, that is probably the cheapest deal I've seen. And all the mods and all the things I put together, definitely it's going to cost you less than $250 what I just did, and you get a pretty nice full metal VZ.58 to fire. So all in respect is, yes, even if a gun is proprietary, there's little tricks you can do to make the gun shoot better and also be more enjoyable, and it doesn't have to cost you that much. Like I said, if I took the e-Vike deal for $150 and put all my parts together, hey, $230 or $240, that's great. You know, you get a pretty nice full metal VZ.58 running around. Of course, like I said, it takes a little bit of work. You know, definitely you put your head together, you could and you can make things work. So this will wrap up our episode with the VZ.58, and for you guys planning to run with this, here's your options.